Hey everybody, this is Gregory from Dapp University. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about questions you should ask yourself if you're thinking about starting a blockchain startup. So before I get into those, be sure to subscribe to this channel if you haven't already and click the like button down below. That really helps these videos get found so that more people can learn how to build blockchain technology. So I want to go over a few questions that I get and a few questions that I answer or ask, a lot, whenever I'm, advising people who are, starting blockchain companies or startups. So these are pretty common questions. And also, if you're interested in, advising services and things like that, you can just check out my email down below in the video description. So these questions are things that come up a lot, and they're ones that I think you should answer before you're starting a blockchain startup. So the first question is, you obviously want to know kind of who your customer is and what their pain points are and, the solution that your project provides. That's just basics, right, for any company or any project or any tech that you're going to roll out. Once you know that, the real question you want to ask is, is the blockchain the right way to solve this problem? Some questions you might be able to ask yourself to figure that out is, do I actually need a distributed ledger in order to solve this problem? Is there actually an issue of trust in place that we need to overcome? Like, is there a reason that users really won't trust my application over another application? Or, are there parties involved that really don't want to trust each other? Things like that. And that's like if you're trying to solve, new kind of cutting edge problems with the blockchain. I know some people are, creating, blockchain startups that are mostly around crypto, right? So if you're talking about stuff that uses tokens or trades cryptocurrency or just integrates cryptocurrency within their application, then you're probably have no choice but to use the blockchain. And blockchain is going to be a core to your project ecosystem and therefore is going to be a big part of your technology. That's an obvious answer. But sometimes you may be trying to build something that's just better served by building a traditional web application if it's a web-based service. Or there's an iOS app that talks to the cloud and things like that. It may not actually need the blockchain, or the blockchain may just not be the right fit for the project at this time either, something like that. So that's the first question I would ask. Now, if you are sure that blockchain is the right answer for your project, the next thing you want to figure out is which blockchain. And, there are lots of concerns there. What do you need to do with the blockchain? Do you just need to, create transactions on the blockchain with data in them? Do you just need to use it as a ledger? Do you need to actually write code that gets executed to or on the blockchain? Do you need to write smart contracts? Do you need to be able to do things like that? Do you need to be able to lots of things? And the other question is, you need to know what the limitations of certain blockchains are, like how many transactions you need to do per second. Like what are the scaling factors of your project? Things like that. Like, is this something that people need to access a lot of information from very quickly and write lots of information to very quickly? Or is it something where it can simply be a settlement layer? And so those are some types of questions you might want to ask when you're trying to pick a blockchain. So the next thing to kind of consider for your blockchain startup is your team. And the team obviously is critical in order to have a successful startup. But I want to maybe I want to really emphasize two aspects of the team that are extremely critical of the blockchain startup. And, it's pretty obvious that you want a good C-level team, you want a good CEO, things like that, you want a good founder. But two other categories, that I really want to emphasize. The first is your technical team. And this is the part that's critical with blockchain. You want to know, like, is your technical team actually blockchain experienced, or are they just developers? Are they just coders and they kind of know something about blockchain? So that's critical. And it's not necessary for them to have, robust blockchain experience, right? Because, the blockchain space is relatively new, is a relatively small, slice of developers who are competent with blockchain programming and blockchain development and things like that. But the more expertise you have in that area, the bigger leg up that you're going to have for your project to actually succeed. And that's why it's also critical to answer the first questions that I mentioned, like, is, blockchain necessary? Is blockchain necessary for our project? And you're going to want to have developers who can basically give you good technical insight onto what you should actually be using the blockchain for, what you shouldn't be using the blockchain for. You want developers who have good insight into the limitations of the blockchain, or like solutions that can serve as workarounds right now for the blockchain's limitations, like scaling, things like that. How to integrate the blockchain, basically how to silo some features to happen on chain, happen off chain, things like that. So that's going to be a big make or break in the success of your project, is whether or not your technical team can build something that users can actually interact with and use. And also, outside of an engineering perspective, is also, just like a user experience perspective. Interacting with the blockchain can be very difficult on your users. It can be counterintuitive. It's not always a user-friendly experience. And you want a technical team that is, kind of pushing the envelope to create something that users will actually enjoy. So that's critical, that you can find people on your team who can do those kinds of things. So the other aspect of the team that I want to emphasize are advisors, and this is critical in the blockchain space. Here's why. One, advisors are going to have expertise in lots of areas of, blockchain that most people are sorely lacking in. One is a technical advisor. That's a lot of what I do, which, basically tells people or just provides that technical expertise about like a lot of the types of questions that I've been answering up to this point in the video. Also, legal advisors are a pretty big deal. And also just the advisors, it's not always just about expertise. That's a huge plus, and you definitely want that, but a lot of it's about connection. So, can your advisor connect you to resources and people that can really help your project succeed? And that's going to be the other aspect of, value that your advisors bring to the table. And that's why they're so important. So the last thing that I want to consider, or I want you to consider if you're, launching a blockchain startup, is your fundraising. So what kind of fundraising are you actually going to do with your project? Because, there's pros and cons to all different fundraising models. Are you going to bootstrap the project? Are you going to take outside investment, like more traditional means? Are you going to do venture capital? Are you going to ICO? And these are all vital questions when you're trying to figure out how you're going to raise funds for the project. And if you are going to ICO, does your token have utility in your ecosystem? If people buy it and hold on to it, can they actually use it in your application? Or is a token just going to be like a security that people buy when you're trying to raise funds for the project? And how is that going to change, the perception of your project as it kind of moves forward? So those are a lot of the types of questions you should be asking yourself if you're going to start a blockchain startup. And like I said, these are all kind of challenging and difficult questions, but they're really important things for you to answer, especially early on when you're starting a blockchain startup. So if you guys have any more questions, like I said, feel free to email me with my email address down in the description below, especially if you're interested in advising. And if there's other questions you want to know the answer to that I might have time to answer on my YouTube channel, just let me know. Leave a comment down in the comment section below. So yeah, thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And until next time, thanks for watching Dapp University.